gonna get started in just a couple of minutes here, so hold on tight and I'll be right back. Hello. Hi everyone, I'm Pravina and I'm going to be talking about sharks today and sharks in the Monterey Bay and what types of senses they use to track down prey. So I have Paul on moderating for me. Any questions that pop up in the comments, Paul's going to help me out, try to answer some questions, and I'm also going to keep an eye to see if there's any questions that I'll answer during my presentation. So, sharks. We're going to talk about sharks. So what are sharks? Sharks are actually a type of fish, and fish that we usually think of when we think of fish are like the ones that are behind me, and these are bony fish. So sharks are a little bit different because they are actually cartilaginous fish, so they don't have bones, but their structure is made out of cartilage. So imagine if your skeleton was made out of cartilage, which is what we can find in our nose and our ears. That's softer material. So sharks, their skeletons are made out of cartilage, which is also why we don't find a lot of shark bones washing up on shore, because they can degrade faster than bones do. There are estimated to be about 30 species of sharks in the Pacific Ocean, maybe a little bit more than that. And in the bay here, we should have around 15 species of sharks, so 15 different types of sharks. And we're not going to get to all of them today. We're only going to be talking about a few, some popular ones. And we're going to start off with the short fin mako, which is this shark right here. Now you can see that it has quite a large eye and lots of little teeth, and here it has the gills, which it uses to breathe. And you can see that these really large eyes, these will help it with its eyesight. A lot of sharks with larger eyes can usually go a little bit deeper into darker waters, and that eye helps them collect as much light as possible to be able to see. Now, one really cool fact about short-fin makos is that they're actually the fastest, one of the fastest species on the planet of shark. And they can swim over 20 miles per hour, so they're really fast. And in comparison to the great white shark that I have here, they're actually pound for pound faster and stronger. So while many people have heard of great white sharks, these short-fin makos are actually really, really cool and are quite strong. They've also been found to be able to leap really high into the air. And these guys generally feed on smaller schooling fish like anchovies and mackerel. So, and like great white sharks, they're also can keep their body temperature warmer, so they're not cold-blooded if they're warm-blooded. And this allows them to have a faster response muscle-wise, which allows for their quick bursts of speed. And we're going to get into everyone's favorite, of course, the great white shark. And here's a really amazing photo of a great white shark feeding. You can see that it's leapt out of the water. So let's have a look at this great white. So great whites are actually the largest known predatory fish. They are not the largest fish though. So they're the largest known predatory shark as well, which means that they can they go after fish and other animals like sea lions and seals. But they are not the largest fish or shark. The largest fish or shark you can actually find in warmer waters, and it's called the whale shark. And that one you don't have to be afraid of because it only feeds on plankton. So it's a really large shark that can grow up to 40 feet and weigh up to 40,000 pounds. But it's completely harmless because it just opens its mouth nice and wide and collects as much plankton as possible from the water. Now this great white, on the other hand, can reach up to around 20 feet in length and can weigh up to 4,000 pounds, around 4,000 pounds, which is just a fraction of the size of this whale shark. That's huge. So while this is large, it's not the largest shark in the ocean. And the smallest shark in the ocean is actually a dwarf lantern shark, and they're really tiny. They're only about 8 inches long when they're fully grown. And like I said earlier, these great whites can prey on large fish and also marine mammals. And marine mammals are perfect for the shark because they have a really fatty layer of blubber, which gives the shark a lot of energy. So next we have the thresher shark. Let's see if I can find that photo. So these thresher sharks are amazing animals. They have this really long fin, and they do use it for what it kind of looks like as a whip. So if there's like a bunch of schooling fish, they're able to kind of strike them with this tail and whip them. So they do feed on the smaller schooling fish like sardines and anchovies that you can find out in the bay. And there have been 2 species recorded out in this bay here. So we have the common thresher shark, and we also have the big eye thresher shark. Ones with larger eyes, which allows them to go a little deeper into darker waters to hunt for food. And these thresher sharks can also leap completely out of the water. And similar to the great white, they do get to about 20 feet in length. But the great whites can get up to what I said, 4,000 pounds, and the thresher shark generally only stays around 1,000 pounds. So it's a bit smaller, even though it's the same length. Next we have the leopard shark. So these guys, a lot smaller than the other ones we've just talked about. These can get up to 5 to 7 feet long, and they're known to be pretty docile because they generally feed on animals that live on the bottom, so they're bottom feeders. You can see that their mouth is on the underside of their body, which is a bit different to our other sharks, like the great white. The great white's mouth is facing forward, while this one's more on the underside, similar to how stingrays and skates have their mouth on the bottom. So this just helps them feed along the bottom floor, so they can feed in the sandy shores. And they also use their nose kind of like a shovel to like dig up anything that might be hiding underneath. And these guys generally go for animals like clams, fish eggs, also fat innkeeper worms, which are these really large worms that kind of look like hot dogs. And sea otters also feed on those too. So yeah, these are generally pretty small compared to our great white. So this is about 5 to 7 feet long, or 4 to 7 feet long. And last but not least, I have the basking shark. And this is the second largest shark in the ocean. So first is whale shark, second is this basking shark, which we can find in the Monterey Bay. And this basking shark can also get up to about 20 feet. They range from 22 to 29 feet, I'm sorry about that, and can weigh up to around 8,000 pounds. So whale sharks, the largest shark, can get up to around 40 feet, and these guys can get up to 22 to 29 feet, so almost 30 feet. And they are also gentle giants like the whale shark. So they're not predatory, they don't feed on moving fish, they feed on plankton as well. So you can see they have this large kind of, if you're in front of it, I'm sure it would look terrifying, but they are very gentle. They are just nice and wide to allow as much water as possible to flush in with plankton. And plankton are just really tiny organisms. They can be like baby fish or baby shrimp that are just really small. And the word plankton means drifters. So these are animals that only drift in the water, and they can't really swim against the current on their own. And these are the types of animals that basking sharks like to eat. So they're super tiny, teeny tiny animals. They have usually been seen to be swimming along the surface of the water by humans. So if you're out on a boat, and if you see a large shark in the water, it could be a basking shark. So we're going to get into how sharks find their prey and what types of senses they use. We as humans, have about 5 senses: taste, smell, hearing, touch, and feeling. I think I repeated one. Sight, hearing, smell, taste, and touch. And sharks have a couple more. So sharks also have smell, hearing, sight, touch, and taste, but they also have electroreception, as well as the ability to feel and sense pressure changes in the water. So we're going to get into these senses individually. So let's have a look at smell. So the descriptions of the senses I'm going to be going over are going to be pretty general. So each shark species is a bit different. They're going to have adaptations to these senses that might help them, that better suit them for their prey or for their environment. Like some sharks have larger eyes than others to be able to see deeper underwater, but we're just going to go over a general overview of their senses. So let's start off with smell. So sharks are super sensitive to smell, as some people might know. They can smell about a teaspoon of blood in a swimming pool, an average-sized swimming pool, and super sensitive. So their nostrils are actually located just behind the eyes. They're these little holes. I'm sorry, their nostrils are located to the front, and these tiny little holes, and the senses, or the water can flush up in there with the scents, and they have a lot of surface area inside of their nostrils, which allow them to be really sensitive to smells. But actually, if a fish is bleeding right behind it, let's say a fish got injured right here, and the water current was going this way and taking the smell that way, they would have no idea that this fish was just right behind them. So it also depends on the water current and where that water current is taking the scents in the water. Sharks also have fairly good eyesight. Let's find another fish. They have this guy has really well developed eyes. They have pretty good eyesight, which allows them to find prey and hunt for food and stay away from predators. So they have eyes on either side of their heads, unlike us who have our eyes like right in front, we look forward. Their eyes are on either side of their heads, and that gives them a pretty wide range of view. They can see all around them. Their sight isn't their dominant scent though until the prey is about 45 feet away. But they can see pretty well in the dark too. So they use their rods, which help them see light and dark. They don't really have as much, or cones like we do. So cones in our eyes allow us to see color. They generally just see light and dark. Let's talk about sound. So they do have a sense of hearing, and those are the holes that are located just behind their eyes. So they have a really tiny hole right there. And these little holes are filled with a little bit of fluid. So they have some tubes in there that are filled with fluid, with also little hairs. And these little hairs, when they detect a sound or can hear a sound, the hairs vibrate, and that sends a signal to their brain, which allows them to interpret the sound. And they can also hear wounded prey. So, and the last couple of senses that aren't as similar to ours, or we don't really have these senses, would be, we'll stick with the same food. They have the ability to receive electrical signals and interpret them. So you'll notice that they have they have in their snout, they have a bunch of like tiny little pores, and this allows them, when they like hover over the bottom, they can sense electrical senses from below them, and these jelly holes or pores vibrate, and it allows them to detect prey. So sharks like hammerheads that have those big bulbish eyes coming out the sides of their heads, they'll just go ahead and scan the bottom of the ocean floor and the sand to see what kind of prey hides underneath. And a lot of other sharks have this ability to sense that as well. And the electrical currents that come up and reach the ampullae of Lorenzini, which are the pores in their snout, help them detect prey. So they are also able to detect pressure changes in the water using this line called the lateral line. So they have this lateral line that extends down their body from their head to their tail. And this lateral line is basically a row of small pores that allow them to feel pressure changes. Like if a fish was swimming on its side, it would be able to feel the pressure change in the water on this lateral line. It also allows them to kind of create a pressure map around them. So if they're swimming through like a coral reef or one of our kelp forests out here, they'd be able to feel the pressure coming from the different surroundings and the environment, and it allows them to create a little map of what's around them and where they're going. Touch. So you may have heard of shark attacks. So generally, shark attacks are kind of related to touch. So they don't have hands like we do. They don't have fingers like how we can touch things with our fingers. So they actually use their teeth, unfortunately to humans. But their teeth kind of act like their fingers, and that's what allows them to feel things. So they can feel pressure changes in their tissue or in their teeth. And this pressure allows them to kind of detect what they're biting on. So a lot of shark attacks are actually just the shark accidentally test biting the subject. So it's not like they're trying to go after humans, they're just feeling to see what they are. So if you're like a surfer on a surfboard and you kind of look like a seal from below, and a shark accidentally takes a little bite, it's just because they're trying to feel what you are, and then they'll leave you alone. So a lot of shark attacks are actually just one bite and the shark leaves because, I mean, humans aren't their prey. So yeah, so their teeth kind of act like fingers. Now they also have a sense of taste, so if the prey is not what they want, then they're going to leave it alone. And after going through all of these senses, sharks are actually really smart animals, and they're quite amazing. If anyone's scared of a shark attack or getting bitten when they're out in the water, you are honestly more likely to die from a lightning strike than a shark attack. So sharks are just great fish that live out in the ocean, and when we enter their home, sometimes they get confused, but they are pretty gentle creatures. So I hope everyone's staying safe and well at home. Thank you guys for tuning in to this talk on sharks. Hope to see you all next week. We have some more live streams coming up next week as well. And thank you all.